So Bungie are about to drop a very big update regarding their first new major project in a decade. And for a studio who have a cult following in many ways, this should be a huge moment for the Bungie fanbase, and it will of course be a huge moment for Bungie in general. At the same time, it is a moment that highlights a division and an anxiety for some in the community, given what has been a rocky couple of years for the studio and for players of Destiny, which of course has been Bungie's bread and butter for a number of years. So that leads us to the question, what's the score? Do Destiny players hate Marathon? Well, of course, the game isn't even out yet. This statement might seem a bit wild because no, not all players are unhappy about Marathon. However, there is a real portion of the Destiny player base who are essentially quite angry at Bungie's focus on this project. And for those who would challenge my question, the title of this video, I would just say there is a reality, a real palpable emotion at the moment. Look at some of the coverage from big Destiny channels, including those covering Marathon so far, posing the question as to whether Bungie are abandoning the Destiny crowd. Also in my comment section, I asked about interest in Marathon coverage, and these are just a selection of responses, which actually, kind of unfortunately for me, formed a consecutive big fat no with regards to interest in Marathon. So why is that? Well, firstly, I should lay out my position real quick. While I'm not an extraction shooter or battle royale kind of player on the most part these days, I do have a heritage in FPS competitive games, and that part of me is really intrigued to see what Bungie have made here, especially, let's remember, Bungie have a history of producing massively successful games adjacent to this. So I want to see it, that's my feelings right now. Before we talk about Marathon, let's talk about Destiny for a minute. Are there any good reasons for Destiny players to not like the sound of this? Well, yes, actually there are. And firstly, for many of us, we're simply not the target audience, right? Destiny has a lot of very PvE focused players, and let's be real, Destiny 2 has a very established and fairly adult audience on the most part. Aside from that, another component of the emotion set right now, if we ask the question, have Bungie removed resources from Destiny 2 in order to make Marathon? Well, the simple answer is yes, they have. And while Heresy and particularly Final Shape in the last year have dropped some of Destiny's best content, without a doubt there are components where D2 is struggling, and some of the reason for that is that Bungie have had to split their resources between the two projects. In particular, the one that players can see and feel the most in Destiny right now is the apparent lack of testing, management of bugs and issues in the game, server problems, broken quests, modes, whatever it is. There's a lot of it right now, and players are connecting the dots between Bungie's current performance around Destiny and their focus on Marathon. The other part here is that while Bungie are giving Marathon its moment in the sun currently, the Destiny players are waiting for an announcement for Frontiers, or indeed any information whatsoever about it. So we're asking the question, when is it releasing? Is it delayed? What is it? And while we've had some patience in recent months, the wait has gone on, right up to this point where sentiment is now dropping. And it's in a way kind of unfortunate timing because the next thing that players see Bungie focusing on is Marathon. So it's understandable that hardcore Destiny fans have a feeling of, well, we've kind of become second fiddle, right? There's a sense that this is less of a priority for Bungie now. And much like bugs or communication issues we've seen recently, players can literally feel that Destiny is essentially one of two children that Bungie are trying to raise. That may all sound really negative, but posing another question, should we be more patient? One of the problems for Destiny is that it is a live service and investment game, so Bungie do have to work to keep that ball rolling and keep players engaged. That isn't only in the game, but it also of course exists outside of the game with regards to the future of the franchise and plans to tackle what Destiny players feel are the challenges or pressing issues for the game at the moment. For my personal opinion, I understand both sides right now. Bungie want to do something more than just Destiny. Destiny additionally has unique challenges which make it expensive and resource heavy to keep on top of. And I can personally appreciate that there has to be a split if Bungie wants to become a multi-IP studio, right? As a Destiny player though, I can totally relate to the set of emotions that lots of players are feeling right now because there's also a history to this, right? Bungie have operated in some pretty unfortunate ways in terms of their presumably over-expansion going back, right? Before the layoffs as a physical studio, and with regards to perhaps trying to do one too many things at the same time. We've seen the issues around this play out for years now. Again, there was that 2 big rounds of layoffs, delays, and essentially garnering broken trust between Bungie and the player base. Plus, as a side note, for Destiny PvP players, we've experienced poor elongated metas in the Crucible, lack of quality of life, cheaters running rampant, and the list goes on. And in isolation, that's one thing, but side by side with Marathon, again, players will connect the dots and naturally feel frustrated that Marathon will get dedicated servers, new tech to tackle issues with exploits, more focus on tuning, rapid iteration, and all of that. So it leaves a sour taste, and I totally get it. Having said all of this, we should remember Destiny is also suffering because of Bungie's mistakes in the past. The layoffs obviously have a direct impact on Destiny development, and further when you split those resources, the remaining resources, between these two projects, arguably it will get worse before it gets better. This is where I would say though, we probably need to accept that Destiny on its own won't necessarily be viable forever. That isn't to say that I think Bungie are going to allow it to die, but as a studio they need to do something else as well. Whether Marathon will pay off in that respect is anybody's guess, but in terms of being realistic, this day was always eventually going to come, and here we are. One thing we can be thankful for though, at least for those of us who want to stick around with Destiny, is that Bungie have in fact not abandoned us in my opinion. While it's clear that things are different now, Bungie are saying at least that they want to try and be a multi-IP studio. They're still planning another multi-year saga for the Destiny universe. And to achieve these kinds of things, obviously, often there has to be compromise, and we are seeing that. I can't tell anybody how to feel, but I do think it's worth acknowledging the facts as we understand them. So looking a little bit more to Marathon itself here and the relationship between the two projects and how Bungie managed that, another element that I've thought about once or twice recently is that while Marathon might take whatever it is, 400 or 600 employees to make and get off the ground, it won't necessarily require that level of input to actually maintain the game, right? At least based on what we see from other extraction or battle royale type games. So there is a real possibility that once Marathon is shipped, and especially if Destiny remains viable, we may actually see the resource split even out a little more down the road, essentially giving Destiny more tools with which to succeed and be a healthy game, right? Obviously, I can't guarantee that. I don't know if that's Bungie's actual plan, but it isn't illogical as a possibility moving forward. As I've outlined though, I get the frustration, and I know that many players for Destiny, and again, it isn't everybody, but I can see specifically why some players don't vibe with the current situation, and some of that is 100% reasonable. Like I've covered in other videos, I have personal concerns about the future of Destiny and how Bungie lock folks back into the franchise, the longevity of it, and all of that. But given that Bungie will probably announce Frontie'rs stuff fairly soon, especially after the Marathon reveal has been and gone, I would say that if you're a player who wants to stick around, we're probably going to have to give Bungie a little more time to cook, and at least once they do show off Frontie'rs and we get to see this future, and then ultimately when players get to actually experience it in game, we'll be able to draw our own conclusions based on where we end up. So those are kind of my thoughts right now. Outside of all this, personally, I want to wish Bungie the best of luck with Marathon and Destiny, because their survival certainly depends on one or both of these projects succeeding. Preferably, it'll be both. And I'd love to see them get all of this right, but that's just me. On the Marathon side, I don't know how long I'll engage with that game for, if at all, because of course I haven't played it, and like most of us ahead of the reveal at least, we haven't even seen it. But I can't help but have this degree of excitement for anything that Bungie make. I look at Marathon's art style and the mix of everything that we kind of expect from Bungie, paired with something very different. And who knows, I don't think it's on the cards, but I'd get a lot more excited about Marathon if it turned out to have a PvE or PvEVP element to it as well. In a perfect world, I think Bungie would probably have gone for that, resource dependent, because they know it would be the ideal thing in order to attract as many Destiny players as possible as well. And for those calling me a shill or a hater, and believe me, I'll get both of those all at once on a video like this, but I'd say anybody denying the tangible and real anxiety and upset in a large section of the player base right now, you're kind of kidding yourselves if you don't think that is a thing. Whether it's right or wrong is a separate conversation. It's called preference, right? And the emotions come from a real place, as we've discussed. Equally, if you don't care about Destiny's position and you're excited for Marathon, then obviously I really hope you have a fun time, because that's what video games are for. We should try and remember it more often. I would just say that if you've loved Bungie games for a long time, and if you want Destiny or Marathon to succeed, it's just a simple fact that we've got to give them the benefit of the doubt and the opportunity to get it right. I can't say what the future holds, but as many of you would agree, it will all come out in the wash, so to speak. So the next few months months will be incredibly interesting. Those are my thoughts, guys. This really interesting relationship between the Destiny community, the Bungie community, and Destiny and Marathon. There's a lot going on and we're going to see it play out in the coming months, but all I can ask otherwise is for you guys to give me your personal thoughts down in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking, how you're feeling. The one thing I will continue to try and be reliable for is to keep you guys updated on where we go next. So if you want to stick around for that, feel free to get locked and loaded, hit subscribe. I'm probably going to try my hand at a little bit of Marathon coverage, but believe me, that does not impact my desire and my preference to keep Destiny a mainstay on this channel. Destiny's my game, man. For now though, I hope you guys have an awesome day.